if you're going to get into service plumbing, right, you could do all the plumbing. Like, I don't feel like the plumbing's the hard work. Like, it's the customer service. It's knowing how to interact with people, because you run into different people, right? You run into people that you could joke with and be yourself and have a good time. But you also run into people that are just like open the door and zombie mode. You know, they're just like, fix my problem. And you got to know how to interact with different types of personalities. And it's a struggle, right? Because like for me, I'm very, let me give you a hug. You know, like let's have a good time. Let's party. You know, I know your like house is flooding, but let's have a good time. Like,
it's okay. I'll fix it.
Look on the brighter side of life. Your house didn't blow up. Like,
right.
It's tough because it's their biggest investment in life, right? Your home is your biggest investment in life. And that's why I love plumbing, because people fail to realize that. Like, I feel like nowadays everyone's like jumping houses and they go through 10 houses in their lifetime, which is crazy. My parents have been in the same house. I think it's crazy. My parents are in the house my mom grew up in. Like,
yeah, that's insane.
And but
awesome.
Like, a lot of people do that, but now it's like jumping ship. But still, it's like $500,000, home, $1 million home, and it's like you got to go and take care of it. But like I said, a weird part of it all is just like interacting with customers. I love it, but if you're coming into the trade, you got to be ready for some heartbreak out there. Some people are ruthless, but and mainly for me, right? I look like a baby still. Like, I got baby face.
Yeah, that's probably a bigger challenge for you than anything.
Yeah, people like, it's a very, right? You walk in and like they answer the door and they look at you like, man, are you still in high school, bro? Like, what are you doing here? And then I'm like, just give me 5. Like, give me 5 minutes. Let me explain it to you. And I'll start explaining everything, and they're like, huh? What did you just tell me? They're lost. They're like, you know a lot. No, I've had like 5 people apologize to me at the end. Like, we're sorry we judged you. And I'm like, huh? And they're like, we're just sorry we judged you. We didn't think you knew anything. And like, we don't know half the stuff you talked about, because like, that's more plumbing knowledge than we know. So it's weird, but it's all confidence. It's like, obviously they're calling you for a reason, right? Because they don't know what to do. They don't know how to fix it. And like, you run into some of the senior residents here that are like, in their 60s, and like, to us, we're still kids to them. I'm 25, I'll be 26 this year. So in their eyes, I'm a kid, and no matter, they probably look at you. We've been on jobs where they look at you, they're like, what's up, youngster? And you're like, man, I'm in my 30s, I got kids, I got a house, I got bills too. But I mean, that's the biggest thing, is like, it's you got to go in with confidence, because they called you as a professional. So you just got to believe in yourself and all your training and experience that you've run into, that you are the best person for them in this trade, But yeah.
Nice. So trends, like you brought up this trend, like housing trend, people move house to house. So what are some trends that you see out there in plumbing right now? Plumbing, HVAC, electrical, doesn't matter what. What are some trends?
Hack work.
It's great. Actually, though, you're not wrong, because the building out here right now, I mean, we go to so many new homes where it's like they're 1 to 3 years old and they just have issues.
You know what? No, it's crazy, because they're like, don't get me wrong, there is so many good plumbers out there. There's plumbers out there that are better than me, like way better. I only got 4 years in this thing. Like, we got Michael, who's got 40 plus years in this thing, and he knows so much. So it's like, I'm far from perfect. I got a lot to learn. But a trend I am seeing, though, and I feel like it's more upbringing than not. And it's like, it's my generation. I blame my generation, right? It's people don't care as much as they used to, right? My grandpa, and my dad too. Like, okay, so I moved in with my grandparents at 14, 15 years old. But my dad, man, like he worked for the refinery. So like, my dad always worked. He would call it the money train, right? He worked in the refinery, so like the oil trains or whatever, or the trains with they got the big oil tankers or whatever come in, and he's like, "Oh, got OT, baby, money trains here," and he go hustle, all the time. My dad's hustling to give us what we wanted, whatever that may be. Like, my dad rarely said no. He's like, "Yeah, like I work my butt off for you guys to have what you want in life." And then, like, my grandfather, the way he kind of brought me up too is like, you're a man of your word. All you have is your word at the end of the day. You say you're going to do something, do it. And then him owning a business was like, I remember doing jobs for him, and I'm like, hey, Grandpa, like, I've been doing this for like a year now, and I'm thinking, if we do this or do that, like, we could do better at this. And he's like, I don't pay you to think, I pay you to work. You know? So he's just like, get your ass to work. So it was one of those things where he's just like, go. And I was like, all right, fine. I'll just shut up. But his thing was, it's his name on the company, right? If it's done wrong, it falls back on him as the company owner. So I feel like a lot of people just don't care about that it's their name on it anymore. They're just like, we got water to it, right? Water showed up, so it's not a big deal. And there's just not a lot of thought process into making things look good. Because now we use PEX pipe, right? So it's just plastic. It curves and folds or whatever you want it to do. So it's like you could just swoop lines and it just look whatever. We're back in the day, you use copper, so you got nice 90s and things look nice. You know, I'm all about like show and tell, like look at the work I did, and it looks good. So I think we're just running into like not a lot of care for your name being on stuff anymore,
which is crazy because I think the biggest trend that I see is overpricing.
Yeah, that too.
And so when you mix up the hack work or just even lack of care with the overprice, that kills me.
Yeah, because with the trend, you're running into, you're gonna pay top dollar, and which I feel like would be fair for like a master plumber that's really good at his work, but you'll still pay that top dollar for a guy just getting into the trade.
Apprentice.
Yeah, and he's just getting into the trade, and you know what? I've run into one year apprentices that could outdo a 10-year journeyman.
All day.
You know what I mean?
It's not everybody, but
so it's not everybody, but it is the majority. You know what I mean? It is the majority. So it's like you're running into that a lot, where it's like you're paying a master plumber price for a guy that really just doesn't know, and he's just winging it. He's just like, it worked and it didn't leak, so we got it done. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you are running into that trend where it's a lot of overpricing. Profit margins are killer right now. But I feel like that's what puts us in such a good place, right? Is like we know what a lot of people are doing, and it's like, are they getting the jobs? Yeah, they're getting it, and people are using them. So it's like they're buying the name, right? And it's cool. Like they're hitting home runs and they're collecting such big amount. But eventually, like in a town like St. George, right? That only works for so long until people start realizing, okay, we're getting overcharged because there's this company in the middle that still gives us high-end quality work, but isn't charging an arm and a leg. You know, it's like plumbing's expensive. People got to realize that, right? Like plumbing is expensive. There's no getting away from that. But there is like ripping you off at the same time.
Right.
So it's like I always said, this isn't the fastest race to the bottom. So there is bottom guys that won't be here in 5 years, like, because they undercharge. So it's like us, like, are there guys lower than us? Yeah. Will those guys be here in 5 years? Probably not, because they're not taken care of when your truck breaks down or a piece of drain equipment breaks, whatever it may be. When those big expenses come, they don't have the funds to pay for it. We're making it, we're doing okay, but we could, like, our radiator just broke, right? We had to fix that, $1,500. Okay, we got it. Does it suck? Yeah, because like we don't got that much money, but we're making it, so we could handle those situations. But the biggest thing is like with that is like we're gonna have people reoccurring. Like we're gonna have reoccurring customers, because it's like, yeah, we don't have the biggest logos, biggest brands, and this and that, because we want to be able to still get our name out there, but not go too crazy where we have to raise our prices outrageously. So we're like right there in that middle where we could still market without overpricing,
right?
So
you say that though, but you guys have a podcast.
Yeah,
We're doing pretty good. You're doing pretty good.
We're all right.
We make the right moves. I feel like we make the right moves.
Yeah, and I feel like the podcast is such a good, like, it's different, right? You look around and you don't see a lot of plumbing companies out here doing a podcast, and that's what we want to do. That was different. It's like, okay, we keep throwing money into these different outlets, right? And it's just like strikeout after strikeout. What works and what doesn't work. But coming into the podcast, like you look around and there's no companies around us really doing that, at least here, right? And even when you look, because before walking into this, it was such a back and forth. Like, do we do it? You know what I mean? Like, is it the right move? But then we started like looking on YouTube, and like for podcast, there are really like 4 or 5 people that are doing it, where you could find online.
Boring.
Yeah, and it's such like water's hard. You need a repipe because hard water. Like it's just so like monotone and boring. So it's like I don't listen to them. you know?
Yeah,
So
I
I like,
tried.
which is like with this, it's like, man, we wanted to come in, still have fun. And we thought it was like, hey, well, why not try it, right? Why not try to do something different where no one else is really doing? And it helps our brand, but it also educates either new tradesmen coming in or people that are on the fence about joining the trades. And then just your normal homeowner that's like, oh, maybe I want to learn a little bit about plumbing, you know, see what they could give me. So a little bit of education and then also a little bit of fun.